Islamophobia basically is this sort of, it's this reaction, this knee-jerk feeling against somebody who belongs to Islamic culture.
I think it's more a case of fear of the unknown, fear of what they're hiding.
It's a fear that grew from a lack of knowledge of the religion.
We are just like others. We have beliefs, but we are human.
Well, I mean, the media really hyped it up a lot, especially branding us like as extremists, and we're just not extremists at all.
Being a young Muslim today, it seems, is a crime within itself.
London, England's capital city and home to more than 7 million people. Famous for Harrods, Big Ben and Buckingham Palace, every year 26 million visitors flock to the city to see the sights and experience the culture of Britain. And I too begin my journey in London, but not to see Downing Street or Tower Bridge. Instead, I am researching, interviewing and investigating a topic that could potentially tear society apart at the seams. It's here in London that I begin investigating Islamophobia. On July 7th, 2005, England experienced a terrorist attack that shook the nation. 56 people were killed and hundreds injured when 4 men detonated bombs on public transport. The country was shocked as it became apparent that these men were British, born and raised in the country they would later attack. But the media chose to focus on the problem, not the solution. Media and politicians looked at the men's religion, their Muslim faith, instead of trying to understand the reason behind the hatred. They sparked fear into the hearts of Britons with headlines and news coverage implying that Muslims were a danger to society. Because of this fear, Muslims are seen as outsiders, a threat to their country. 5 years have passed since July 7th. But the situation is still difficult and tensions run high. The media are quick to tell us that we should be scared, but of what exactly should we be scared? Rarely do we hear the other side of the story. Rarely do we hear the stories of Muslims living in England today. In France, Islamophobia began with the Algerian Civil War in the 1990s, when the armed Islamic group carried out a series of terrorist attacks in France. 9/11 and 7/7 then merely accelerated existing French Islamophobia. At first glance, French society appears to be more harmonious than England's, but beneath the surface, prejudice and disharmony flourish thanks to government and media statements. In fact, it is commonly believed in France that Islamophobia is used to deflect attention away from more pertinent issues, like the economy. While the Muslims I meet in England and France all have very different stories to tell, they all have a desire to share with the world their side of the story, their feelings, their wishes for a more peaceful future. And they all want to make society more aware of this new form of discrimination. Not more than a 10-minute walk from the location of one of the 7th of July terrorist attacks lives Catherine Hesseltine, who converted to Islam in her late teen years. Now in her early 30s, she works as a nursery school teacher and has recently been elected CEO of MPAC, the Muslim Public Affairs Committee UK. She invited me to her home to talk about her conversion, her treatment as a female Muslim, and Islamophobia in England today. Now, you mentioned that you converted to Islam. Could you tell me a little about that and when it happened and how it came about?
That was just over 10 years ago, when I was at university. Right. And basically, you know, I'd grown up sort of agnostic background. I never really knew any Muslims growing up until I went to sixth form, so sort of 16 to 18, where there was a few Muslims, including my ex-husband who I met there.
Right.
And you know, it was because of my relationship with him that I thought, well, hang on, you know, how would this actually work? You know, different religions and stuff. That made me think, well, actually, I'm going to research and find out what I think for myself, because I realised I'd never actually stopped and thought about it, you know, and it had quite kind of challenged my preconceptions to meet, you know, people who were my own age, seemed normal, rational, and whatever, and yet believed in God and the Day of Judgment, and believed in these things strongly enough to fast for 30 days during Ramadan. So that kind of got me, you know, and reflecting things, and different things kind of added up. For a start, I was very surprised to find the Quran appealing to reason and saying, look at the signs of, you know, the Creator in nature. Different things about the Islamic lifestyle made sense, like what the Quran says about alcohol, that, you know, there's some good in it, but the bad outweighs the good. Yeah, different things added up until the point where I was like, actually, yeah, no, this is for me, this is what I believe. Then I became Muslim.
And since you converted to Islam, have you found that people have treated you differently?
A lot of people, you know, are quite sort of surprised or whatever, or don't know many Muslims. And I mean, since I didn't wear a headscarf for kind of 3 years, so no one kind of identified me as Muslim, but since I have been, and since 7/7 happened here, I've had several incidents kind of just on the streets of London or on the trains and stuff, where people, I've been called a suicide bomber. I had a bag on, rucksack on my back, standing around in central London, and someone would go past, nice bag, you got a bomb in that. and I'm kind of like so surprised, because again, I'm used to being white middle class, and no one discriminates. Like, what? I'm sorry. Oh, you were talking to me. Damn, I should have had a comeback for that. You know, but you know, it does kind of shock me in that you know, okay, I'm confident enough that it doesn't really bother me what people think. But you know, there's like young Muslim girls who, you know, going through their own, you know, issues of identity and stuff, and coming up against that kind of